Live from Toronto, Canada, The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740.
And welcome to the Audio Imaginarium. Come on in, weary traveler. Hang your cloak on a peg, grab a stool, and come warm yourself by the fire. There are stories to be told, and you are among friends. Great to be with you as always, and once again coming to you live from my little studio beneath the stairs here in historic Old Thornhill. We are streaming live on YouTube as well. Just go to my Strange Planet channel on YouTube. Please subscribe, and that way you'll get notifications and reminders when we stream or when a video is available. And Ryan also uploads my clearing with the live stream or the audio streaming. So we'll get that sorted, not to worry. But we are streaming the audio. Open lines this hour, or if you wish, ask me anything. Let me give you those phone numbers right now. 416-360-0740. Again, 416-360-0740. That's in the Greater Toronto area. And toll free from just about anywhere. And we love to hear from you in the United States and all across Canada. Toll free 1-866-740-4740. 1-866-740-4740. And of course, you can start calling right now. And Faz, back at Zoomerplex in Master Control, will be your concierge. So say hi to Faz. Coming up in the second hour, medical plants expert, Dr. Cass Ingram will be here. My gosh, how long have I known Cass Ingram? More than 25 years, I should think. And of course, he is the author of The Cure is in the Cupboard and Who Needs Headaches and many, many more books. I've lost count, quite frankly, but he has a new one out, and it's called The Cannabis Cure. And we'll be discussing a compound called BCP. You might want to write that down. This is new information, BCP. And Cass is basically saying move over THC and CBD and say hello to BCP. ASAP. The new super cannabinoid. It's a recently identified chemical compound that's found not only in cannabis, but in other aromatic plants as well. And it can help, according to a new study, with a host of things. And we'll get into that when Dr. Cass Ingram, the health hunter, medical plants expert Cass Ingram joins us. And next week on the program, we're going to have someone from the UFO MegaCon, the Mega Conference again, happening in Laughlin, Nevada. We'll have a great guest for you. And so stay tuned for more details on that. And for an update on that, just keep checking strangeplanet.ca. That's my website, strangeplanet.ca. And we'll have upcoming show information there. And we'll get you updated on what's happening next week. But we will have someone from that big UFO conference happening in Laughlin, Nevada. That's coming up at the end of this month. And that's called the UFO MegaCon or MegaCon UFO. All right. We are going to dive right into the calls here. I think we have someone waiting. Let me see. Who is it? It's I can't see here. Whoa, what's going on? We have someone from Niagara Falls, but I'm not seeing it. Who's on the line? Who do we have, Faz?
Yes, hello. My name is Eugene.
Hey, Eugene. You're checking in from Niagara Falls?
Yeah, I had really two issues that I wanted to talk to you about. I wish you guys could get somebody down to our old Fort Niagara near the border, because that is supposed to be really haunted from the wars going back, over 100 years.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt that would be haunted. That would have been. When would that have seen action? The War of 1812, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, yeah, the War of 1812, and they claim that it's you could go there on almost any given night, any time of the year, and there would be paranormal activity.
Have you been there? Have you witnessed paranormal activity?
Well, not living far from there. I mean, I've heard all the stories. Some of them have gotten the newspapers, but nobody from the media, either online or on the radio, has really pursued it, recently in the recent years. And so, I was just something like a suggestion for maybe your program.
Oh, it sounds great. If I can find someone to speak to that. Of course, up here we have Fort York, which also saw action, of course, during the War of 1812. And there are some fabulous ghost stories, people seeing soldiers and so forth. Yes.
I know that you get into the Kennedy assassination. Lyndon Johnson's attorney, Bar McClellan, I think was his name, he wrote a second book, and it was called The Verdict. This book ended up being suppressed. On Kennedy's 50th anniversary, they were going to bring this book, with Mr. McClellan in public, and all of a sudden he never did the interviews. You go to Amazon, and Amazon had said that the book's not in circulation. You'd have to try to go through England. And I'm wondering, well, hey, what is this about if the book was suppressed?
That's fascinating. I've heard of Bar McClellan. I've done programs previously on LBJ's a potential connection to the assassination, potential. I don't know what's happening with that book specifically. It's possible there's a legal issue. If he's naming someone who's still alive, maybe from the LBJ estate, maybe they issued a cease and desist order. Hard to say without knowing the particulars.
Jack Ruby, that when he went in and sent the Western Union, that he told people there, or one lady I think that's still living, that they were holding Oswald up for him. Now, whether that's true or not, or whether that would suppress the book, I don't know. But McClellan was one of Johnson's attorneys.
All right. Well, maybe I can reach out to Bar McClellan and find out what's happening. The other thing is John Barber.
And,
do you remember John Barber?
On YouTube, they said that he had cancer, but he seemed to recover, and he was doing an interview program in Texas about a year ago. But then again, they never mentioned the book, The Verdict.
Right. But John Barber is going to be on the program. Actually, he'll be live in studio with me in April. I don't have a date specifically yet. He has a new book out. I mean, he's really one of the pioneers of reality TV. And of course, he had that program, Real People, that was very popular, I guess, in the early 80s. And he's quite a JFK assassination researcher and a documentary filmmaker. So I'll broach that with him as well. But I will look up Bar McClellan. That's a great suggestion. Thank you so much, Eugene.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. And we can also look into doing something on the fort down there, Fort Erie, which supposedly is haunted. Oh, I also wanted to mention that if you are in the YouTube live chat, I'll also be taking your questions as well. So all of our regulars, Gord and Way, or is it YY? I never know. I'm sorry. Send me a pronouncer, will you? YY or Way, and you betcha. So if you have any questions in the live chat, we'll take yours as well. All right, back to the phones we go, 416-360-0740, and toll free from out of town, 1-866-740-4740. And who do we have up next? I think it's Keith in Rochester. All right, here comes trouble. Keith, you're on.
Different groups around the world are forming strange alliances. Members of within the same group are pointing accusing fingers at each other, and a lot of this surrounds anti-Semitism, and I'm wondering how this is all going to shake out. I can see a rise of not only anti-Semitism, but just different groups who social media are just seeing things in each other that were at each other's throats really bad, and it's getting worse, and no one will come down and talk common sense and reach out across the aisle. And I'm very concerned, not with just my country, but I see things politically correct in your country with having to use pronouns. This is going on around the world, and people are simply being beaten down. And with the rising anti-Semitism, I see some really tough times ahead, and no one is backing down, willing to look at the other person's side of the argument.
Excellent points, Keith. Thank you for the call. Well, there are a couple of things there. Yes, political correctness is sort of one issue. It's funny though, because yes, we're sort of walking on eggshells in terms of many other issues. But you're right. On the other hand, it seems to be open season in some quarters, particularly on social media and in the U.S. House of Representatives, no less. And there is an issue. There is a problem with the Democratic Party, the radical base of the Democratic Party, which is growing. Of course, we have recent comments from certain members of the U.S. House, and the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, seems very timid in tackling this. They tried to pass a resolution condemning anti-Semitism, and they didn't name the particular member of the House, Omar, from Minnesota, who is from Somalia originally, and she has been supported by AOC, Alexandria Cortez, and others have refused to condemn her statements. Now, I have to say that it's okay to criticize the state of Israel, that the policy, if you want. I mean, I'm one of these Israel right or wrong guys. I'm a great supporter of the state of Israel. I have stated that, numerous times, and I will never back down from that position. Do they make mistakes? Of course they make mistakes. But Israel is a great ally. They share our values. And they are very deserving of our support. But it's okay. I don't think, for example, that Omar should be kicked off this committee or that committee because she wants to criticize Israel. But that's the least of what she has said. I mean, she has said, many other things that are very concerning, as have some other members of the radical wing of the Democratic Party. So they have a problem going into 2020. And the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, seems very timid and unwilling. They couldn't even pass a simple resolution, even after they tried to sort of water it down. So that's going to be very interesting, very interesting. All right, let's say hi to Charles, who's checking in from Ohio. Hey, Charles, how are you? Welcome to the Conspiracy Show.
I'm fine, and how about yourself?
Terrific. And whereabouts in Ohio are you?
I'm near the Cleveland area.
Beautiful. Got to get down to, I want to take my boys down to Cleveland and Cincinnati, maybe this spring or summer to catch some baseball games. We're on one of these missions. I'm going to take them to a baseball game in every stadium, baseball park in the major leagues. So, and this year we've decided we're going to do it geographically so we can do it in an efficient manner. Cleveland, Cincinnati, and I'm thinking maybe Pittsburgh in one trip.
That's great. I'll be happy to see you down here.
Terrific. All right. So what's on your mind, my friend?
I wanted to talk a little bit about greenhouse gas and global warming.
All right. One of my favorite topics.
Oh, okay. We're offered solutions for these problems, and there's one I haven't heard much about. Greenhouse gases are basically the two major causes they give us for it are our power generation and our transportation. And the thing is that we're using our gas, whether you believe in it or not, we're using our gas inefficiently.
No, there's no question about that. There is no question about that. I'm sure we could. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They're pushing for zero-emission vehicles. Well, there's a system to burn hydrocarbon fuels, diesel fuels, even coal. Burn it in a closed-loop system. They use it in submarines. It's called air-independent propulsion. And you can find it closed-cycle diesel-powered systems for submarines. I mean, it's not popular for submarines. The U.S. took and they decided back in the early 60s or before that they were going to go all nuclear, but navies around the world use closed cycle systems. They're not using the diesel one, although they can also make that. But it also applies to our internal combustion engines in our cars. See, to solve the global problem of greenhouse emissions from automobiles and power generation, all of their solutions are tearing up and melting down all our cars. Well, that ain't going to work.
No. How are they going to win? How are they going to build these gigantic, ridiculous wind turbines without fossil fuel?
Exactly. And any other solution, just to build all the batteries for all the battery-powered cars and for hardening the grid to take all the power that it's going to take to power up these cars. Well, the best solution is to convert the cars on the road and the new ones coming out to a closed-cycle fuel system.
That's fascinating. I wasn't familiar with this. I'm going to look into that. I've had another gentleman on, an inventor from Utah, Salt Lake City, David Yurth, who, and I should do a follow-up with him. He had
a converting process that will convert the carbon dioxide and emissions, make them more harmless. And
yes,
I remember the show. It was very
right. Yes, he basically had a device that could uncouple the carbon molecule so that it disassociated. And so, yes, essentially what you had coming out from the tailpipe was just some inert gases and water vapor. But you see, this, I think, gets to the nub of it. The alarmists aren't interested in solutions. They're only interested in offering their version of the cure, which is about control and the huge transfers of wealth. That's what it's really about.
Exactly. They're control and consolidation. They want to control the companies. They don't like the innovation. Yeah, I think your inventor you interviewed said the not invented here syndrome with a lot of companies, and they brush everything else aside.
Exactly. Instead of trying to shut down, imagine trying to shut down fossil fuel industry. I mean, we've already, I think, done irreparable harm to the Canadian economy up here, and we would have to shut down. I think in order to meet, someone did the calculations on this. In order to meet the goals set forth in the Paris Accord, we would basically have to shut down not only our energy sector but also our agricultural sector. People forget that petroleum is essential to agriculture, not only to fuel farm machinery, of course, but also for things that we spray on crops. It's also integral to medical pharmaceuticals, for example. So this idea that we're going to end the use of fossil fuels is a suicide mission.
Revolution, because every individual's efforts, it's the gas that takes us to work. It's the electricity that heats our homes and that cools our homes. It's our comfort, convenience. Gasoline and fossil fuels are everything, and we are purposely, they've known for years. Look, the basic closed-cycle fuel system was first proposed in a patent in the 1930s, and I found them as recently as 2000, people trying to push this technology forward. And when I look for the inventors that have issued these patents, they ain't easy to find. I don't know what's happened to them, but something's going on.
All right. Well, I'm going to look into that. And Charles, great call from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you. Let's try and squeeze Ed in London in here very quickly. And if I have to hold him over through the break, we'll do that. Ed, welcome to the Conspiracy Show. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Wonder if I could make a comment on the last call.
Go ahead.
Before I get into my topic, there was a show on 60 Minutes only about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, the inventor, sort of an inventor that wasn't a scientist, come up with a plan to take agricultural byproducts and make cheap alcohol by bombarding the alcohol in the electron emitters, and it was very cheap. And 60 Minutes was all excited about it. And,
all right. But here's the problem: we never seem to get the same efficiency and power that we get from fossil fuels. So that's the sticking point here. All right, let's take a time out. We'll come back, take more of your calls. Open lines, ask me anything. 416-360-0740, 1-866-740-4740. And of course, I'll take questions from our supporters in the live chat up at our YouTube channel, Strange Planet. Back with more in a moment. Stay with us.
Being pulled over your eyes. This is The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To reach Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
Have the time of your life as the hit film Priscilla, Queen of the Desert becomes a glittering musical masterpiece. You won't want to miss this heartwarming story of family, acceptance, and self-discovery as three fabulous drag queens set out on a hilarious adventure across the Australian outback, featuring classic disco hits like It's Raining Men, Hot Stuff, I Will Survive, and many more. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, March 13th to April 7th, St. Jacob's Country Playhouse. Buy online instantly at DraytonEntertainment.com.
Bell TV subscribers, you are one of the lucky 2.5 million viewers who can catch a free preview of One TV right now. One TV is the only channel with the best fitness programs you can do from the comfort of your own home, like yoga and Pilates. Plus, catch shows like Detox and World's Best Diet with practical tips for mindful living. As winter sets in, why not stay in and work out with One TV? Now in free preview for all Bell TV subscribers at channel 1606.
Kiss the cod, smack on the lips, believe every story you hear, no matter how tall, and make a special connection between you and the sea, somewhere along the 18,000 miles of dramatic coastline. Explore your Newfoundland this June through August on a 10 or 12-day Denor Tours guided adventure. Looking for an authentic East Coast experience? Denor Tours has a tour for that. Search Newfoundland at denortours.com.
Mark your calendars, the National Home Show is back. Get inspired at the dream home built by Bonneville Homes and shop over 5,000 square feet of incredible deals from TA Appliances and Barbecues. Gain hands-on experience at the Here's House Center by Home Hardware or cook alongside expert chefs while savoring samples in the Eat Together kitchen. The best part? Convenient GO train access means you can skip the traffic. March 8th to 17th at Toronto's Exhibition Place. Buy your tickets today at nationalhomeshow.com. Presented by RE/MAX.
Don't be afraid of the dark. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To talk to Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free 1-866-740-4740.
Hey, welcome back. Just steeping my tea here in my little studio beneath the stairs. Thanks for joining us. And just a reminder, we are not streaming a video on the live YouTube stream tonight. We will resume that next week, hopefully, when we get our webcam fixed. But we are streaming the audio. Again, just go to our YouTube channel, Strange Planet, and join us there every week. If you're not able to listen live on Zoomer Radio, here in Toronto, AM 740, 96.7. Open lines this hour until the top of the hour. And then in the second hour, Dr. Cass Ingram will be with us, and we'll talk about super cannabinoids and a new chemical compound Well, it's not new, but I guess it's been sort of recently discovered as having certain health effects. There is a scientific study, and we'll talk about that with Cass, along with other medicinal plants. With the health hunter, Dr. Cass Ingram. Now, before the break, we had Ed in London who checked in, and he wanted to respond to a call from Charles in Ohio regarding greenhouse gases. And then you had something else you wanted to talk about. Ed, go ahead.
Yes, I did. Thanks for getting me back on here. I just wondered if any updates on the lawsuit against the Democratic Party in which the 3 people from the law firm were killed. Have they done anything about that, or there's no news up here about it?
Just remind, when you say 3 people from the law firm.
Yes, that Bernie Sanders supporters had invested millions of dollars and felt that the superdelegates had cheated them out of the nomination against Hillary. And
oh, that's right. And the gentleman that served, who served the subpoena, I guess it was, wound up dead in his home. Yes. Now, there were 3 lawyers. There was one found on a Florida beach as well, in Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district. And there was a third. Remind me who the third was.
Somebody was run over by a truck, and they're a lawyer from the same law firm.
All from the same law firm.
Process server.
Yeah, that's right, the process server. I remember the first 2. I forgot about the third. No, I have heard nothing, not surprisingly, about that. Have you heard anything?
Oh, I think that's kind of discouraging if your law firm's losing all its members. So I'm just wondering if they've decided to pass or what's going on. There's nothing in the news about it.
Well, nothing in the mainstream news, but I'll have to poke around and see what else I can find. Because it's also been very quiet on the Seth Rich front, of course, the Las Vegas shooting. So, these stories tend to die on the vine in the mainstream media. And that's why we have the alternative news, in order to keep, pulling at these threads. Thanks a lot for the call. Oh, did you want to add anything else before I move on?
No, I'm just saying the news has been pushed aside by the constant tweeting of President Trump, and they just want to jump on all that.
They certainly do take the bait, don't they? All right. Thanks for the call in London, Ed. Next, we have Alex from Toronto. Alex, good evening. Welcome to the Conspiracy Show.
Yeah. Hi, Richard. China have had that one person, one policy, one child, and that's causing havoc in that country. Now, it occurred to me that in the States, they must have had the same problem back during the Civil War, because they lost 800,000 young men in a 4-year period. And I was trying to find a book or something relating to this problem, because there must have been a lot of old maids during that period shortly after the Civil War. And I'm wondering how long it took to get the balance back in order.
Right.
Do you know anything about that?
Not regarding the Civil War, although the sort of the big influxes of immigration, I think, started shortly where thereafter, maybe a generation later, 1880s, 1890s, even before, mass immigration from Ireland and primarily from the UK.
Well, that was 1840s from Ireland. They already had that because...
Well, even after the potato famine, yes, there was. You're right. After the potato famine, there was a big influx. But then, well, maybe by the early or by the late 19th century, maybe we began to see immigrants from places in southern Europe, like Italy. I'm not exactly sure when that started, but I would imagine that would have offset the demographic issue somewhat. Now, in China, I believe they've discontinued the one-child policy.
Yeah, they have now. But it occurred to me that in the 1870s, from 1865 to about 1880, that 15-year period, they had a lot of probably young women that weren't able to find a mate. So it must have been pretty hard on them, because I don't know what the population was in America in 1865. But when you lose 800,000, that's nearly 1 million young men within a short period of time. So they certainly must have had a lot of problems trying to find a suitor at that time, the young ladies.
It's an excellent point. Now,
Yeah,
my understanding of...
I'd like to hear about it.
Right. Now, what has happened in China, my understanding is they have created a somewhat similar problem. I mean, obviously, we're talking about a country of over 1.5 billion people, but women of a certain age, or sorry, men of a certain age are having trouble finding a bride. It's the exact opposite, because obviously the culture there in China, they favor having male children. And this, I mean, the horrible situation where they are having sex selection, abortions, and these sorts of things. We never hear about that from the feminists. Do you notice? They never attack China for their selective abortion to select gender, where they, young girls, the unborn female is being aborted in China. So what we have now are cohorts of young men running around in China. They can't find mates, girlfriends. And so what happens to men at a particular age when they don't settle down is they get into trouble.
That's right.
And they behave badly. And so China is having to deal with that. It's a demographic problem of their own creation. And I'm not sure, how long that's going to take to sort itself out.
Right. Well, if any of your listeners know of a book whereas they dealt with the problem, because I don't know what the problem is. If they had 20 million people in the States at that time, and nearly 1 million died from the war and injuries afterwards, there must have been a lot of imbalance in the cities, primarily because that's where the wars were fought.
No doubt.
From Mason-Dixon line on down.
Alex, you raise an interesting point, and I'll try and look into that for you. Thank you so much. I got to move along. Let's see. I want to go to the YouTube stream chat, and King Akira has a question. He says, "Can you please talk about Philip Marshall again? He, the author of The Big Bamboozle." All right. I think I've mentioned this a few times on the program. Some of you may have heard the program I did with Philip Marshall. I'm trying to remember how long ago it was, maybe 2012. Philip Marshall was a retired airlines pilot. I think he flew for United. And after he retired, and after 9/11, he launched a class action lawsuit, I think against the Bush family, on behalf of the other families of the United airline pilots who died during 9/11. And they were trying to get to the truth and find out what really happened and so forth. And then he wrote a book called The Big Bamboozle, which relied heavily on Senator Bob Kerry's, I believe it was Bob Kerry from Florida. I may have that name wrong. I'll have to check. But he was he sort of chaired a joint Senate House investigation into 9/11. Not the second one that most people are aware of that issued the 9/11 report. This was one prior, and they tried to subpoena FBI agents and so forth and get to the truth. And they were basically that committee. They hired a professional crack team of professional investigators, and they started poking around and finding some connections to the Saudi royal family. And then the investigation was pretty much shut down. They were told they couldn't subpoena certain FBI agents in the field, many of whom were saying, listen, the hijackers were being, escorted around and they had access to Boeing flight simulators. And they even pointed to the Saudi ambassador to Washington, to the United States, Prince, they used to call him Bandy Bush, I think. He was so close to the Bush family. Anyway, I interviewed Philip, and also for my television show. I met him in Santa Monica. And several months later, I received an email. It was a link to a news story, I believe, in Sacramento or Santa Barbara, where Philip lived. And he had allegedly shot and killed his 2 children before turning the gun on himself. A murder-suicide. Absolutely horrific. And I mean, obviously, I didn't know Philip that well. I had no indication, based on our meeting, that something like that would happen. I can't say I knew him that well, but he seemed like such a rational, kind, gentle person. Who knows? There was some speculation that perhaps there was a hit team to silence him because of the revelations in the Big Bamboozle. And if you think about it, what better way to discredit someone than turning them into a murderer, killing his own children, and then suiciding him, and so he can't obviously, speak for himself. We don't know, and I don't know that we'll ever know the full truth of what happened to Philip Marshall. The curious thing was, immediately upon receiving that email and learning of Philip Marshall's horrible death, I went into my email to check my email thread. It's something I do. Maybe it's somewhat morbid. I don't know. I don't mean it to be, but I always look to see what my last communication was with someone once they've passed on. And it was gone. The entire email thread was gone. I can't tell you why. I didn't delete it. I know that much. All right. Back with more calls in a moment. Open lines right here on The Conspiracy Show. Stay with us.
You want the truth? You can handle the truth. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To get the truth, call Richard now at 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
Just how well kids and parents really know each other.
For a chance at the ultimate spin and the ultimate win.
Sometimes.
Missed an episode? Problem. Stream episodes on demand at YesTV.com/JLMAD.
Let's play Just Like Mom and Dad.
Just Like Mom and Dad. Back-to-back episodes Saturdays at 8 on YesTV and streaming on demand at YesTV.com.
Did you know you could get fitted for swimwear? That you could walk into a store and someone would help you find the perfect swimsuit for your body type, for your personality. Only at Swimco. Our in-store fit experts are trying to ensure you leave feeling confident in the fact that you're about to be somewhere half naked. You'll walk out of the store with something you weren't even looking for. You'll walk out with a swimsuit made for you. Visit us at Square One, Lime Ridge Mall, or online at swimco.com.
No appointment necessary.
Retirement Miramichi. What is it about this East Coast dream that has residents saying we should have moved here years ago? Is it the low cost of living? The location on New Brunswick's spirited Miramichi River? In a word, yes. Or in the words of a resident, this is as close to heaven as you're going to get.
Get a little closer online at retirenb.ca and move in now to Retirement Miramichi. Big Brother is listening, and so are you, to The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To speak with Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free 1-866-740-4740.
All right, welcome back. Open lines this hour till the top of the hour, and then in the second hour we will be joined by Dr. Cass Ingram, and we'll talk about medicinal plants, particularly cannabinoids, and a new chemical compound, according to a recent study, that supposedly can help out with a number of health problems, and that's upcoming on the program. All right, Melanie is in Toronto. Melanie, welcome to the Conspiracy Show.
Hi, great show as usual, and I think they might think of making you a permanent host, probably of Coast to Coast eventually.
Oh, no.
No, but you've got that calming voice. You're my favorite alternative to host. You have that soft, gentle sort of tone that sort of makes you get into the story. You're not choppy. Your intonation, for myself as a singer, you have a very wonderful intonation. But what I want to discuss is just two comments. The first one is that I am so terribly disappointed in institutions that are set up to basically protect people in general. That's what they're set up for. But it seems that my observation over the last 10 years has been that these institutions that are set up, whatever they are set up to protect themselves and their financial holdings. And I'm talking about government, unions, policing, medical, all of these. They seem to serve themselves, and sometimes they don't even serve the membership of the institutions. Nurses unions, for example, Wettlaufer, is it the one that ended up murdering all those patients? All those warning signs, they didn't seem to do anything about it. And I feel so sad in this day and age that I've come to this age to realize, because I've had such great hope and trust in institutions, that it's really disappointing. And I'm just wondering how many people out there feel the same way, that they're sort of feeling, weary and shoulders sort of bent, like, where is the justice in a lot of these institutions? Because they're not protecting us, the people they were set up to protect. It seems it's just sort of like a monster that's just going its own way and forgetting what it was supposed to set up for. Like the gods of Mount Olympus are all falling.
Well, that is one of the immutable laws of nature, is that, now I'll talk about government institutions or bureaucracies, and there are great people that work.
There are, absolutely.
Bureaucrats, of course there are. Most of them, but they just, I call them synthetic beasts, and they grow, and it becomes their purpose. It's like when you create a life, it's the overriding, driving force is to grow, and that's what bureaucracies do. They want to grow, they expand power, and they start out well intentioned.
Absolutely true. I mean, where would we be without them? We'd end up like, China with face recognition and thought control. But the whole thing is, sometimes some institutions are not so dangerous to the public. But when you give extreme powers, for example, just to take into consideration our policing, you give them a badge and you give them a gun, and they're not held up to the same accountability that the rest of us are. It's a dangerous world. Because
it can be. Absolutely.
It's extremely dangerous, and we should vet them up with more assessments, psychiatric assessments, to see if we're getting sociopaths in that. Because Reader's Digest had a great article a couple of years ago as to what careers sociopathic behaviors are noted, and they're usually noted in the military and policing. And of all of the ones that shocked me the most was in medicine, and that's nursing, right? And that's sort of anywhere you have power or teaching over somebody in a lesser position than you are, who has no power. And maybe we should give more psychological tests to who we're accepting into these professions. But the other lighthearted issue I'd like to say is someone who I know is very intelligent said about the fossil fuel problem. What about planes and jets? I mean, can you imagine how much pollution is going into the atmosphere, into the into our ozone layer and destroying it and causing holes. I mean, we have millions of flights every year and all that's going. Can you see a politician who's so pro wind power telling them, you know what, will you stop flying? Can you see that, our planet, nobody flying anywhere? Because I think that's causing more problems to our air than any cars could.
Well, AOC has already floated that idea in her new Green Deal. But the ozone, that's another issue. Our ozone is repairing itself. Pollution is separate from carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. CO2, not a pollutant in my books. It's a nutrient. We need it for life. All right, Melanie, thanks for the call. We'll take some more on the other side. Stay with us on The Conspiracy Show.
In a democracy, we elect officials so we can sleep at night. So why are you up? 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
At Zoomer Magazine, we are continuing our quest to find and celebrate active, inspiring Zoomers who are outstanding members of Canadian associations. And there's lots of amazing Zoomers to choose from, like Sonia Jafar, 45, whose life changed when she gave surfing a whirl 10 years ago. Make and take opportunities to learn, grow, and experience, she says. This is one way to reinvent aging. Subscribe today at zoomer.ca/ultimate to discover more.
Rogers is asking business owners the question, is your internet business grade? I can get business grade internet? It's possible. So my business can get LTE backup for a constant internet connection, tech support anytime I need it, and network level security? Completely possible. That's the peace of mind I've been looking for. Get our new Rogers Business Internet Pro with complete business grade features for $99.99 a month on a 2-year term. Call 1-866-ROGERS6 or visit rogers.com/internet-for-biz.
If you're paying any attention at all, the moves in the stock market should be telling you something. What if we have another big correction? Online Trading Academy can teach you how to create additional income and how to save for your retirement. Attend a free half-day class and learn how you can make money in any market condition. Call 888-670-TRADE, 888-670-TRADE, or torontoclass.com. 888-670-TRADE or torontoclass.com.
Wish you could feel calm and focused? Now you can get daily support for mood, energy, and concentration. New Calm Balance is a supplement with balancing, calming nutrients, including natural calm magnesium. Just add hot water, let it fizz, and drink day or night. Naturally berry-flavored Calm Balance. Get yours where natural health products are sold or go to naturalcalm.ca. Natural Calm. Proceeds go to organicsfororphans.org.
Different views make great conversation. This is The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett on Zoomer Radio. To speak with Richard live, call 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
Welcome back. Hey, some sad news from the world of baseball. I'm reading that Tom Seaver, the great Hall of Fame pitcher, former New York Mets, of course, who helped the team win the 1969 World Series. Remember the Miracle Mets? He has been diagnosed with dementia at age 74 and is retiring from public life. So he will not be joining his former teammates this season in New York to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Miracle Mets. And I'm also reading here that according to some reports, Seaver was diagnosed with Lyme disease back in 1991 while he lived in Connecticut. And then it reoccurred. I mean, Connecticut is sort of ground zero for Lyme disease. That's where it originally broke out, in Lyme, Connecticut. And so he contracted it in 1991, and then it reoccurred in 2012, led to Bell's palsy and, get this, memory loss. So is Lyme disease connected to his dementia? Very sad. I'll ask Dr. Cass Ingram about that, because he came down with a very debilitating form of Lyme disease, and says he beat it with oil of oregano. But we're going to talk to Cass about cannabinoids. All right, let's see. Oh, it's Paul checking in from Oshawa. Paul, good evening. Welcome to The Conspiracy Show.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for taking the call. I believe now we're all missing an hour.
I'm sorry, you believe which?
We're all missing an hour, having to jump ahead.
Oh, we're all missing an hour. That's right. I love Stephen Wright's joke about daylight savings time. He said, it's a fad. I give it 6 months.
Yeah, Richard, I wanted to talk about chemtrails with you and your take on this. Since 2003, taking to the skies, being more of a sky watcher, I noticed a lot of clarity. 2003 for the next few years. And then I guess in the last few years, Richard, I see a lot more chemtrails occurring above our skies with different applications where we perceive it to be a clear sky, but if you apply the solar obliteration technique by just blocking the sun with a structure, and if you can see up, the natural state of nature, like flying seeds high in the sky moving across, you have a clear sky. In these last few years, I've seen very few of that now in clear skies because of the various applications they're applying to even heavier chemtrailing, which results the following day precipitation and such. And also on other certain days when they are spraying and they have some open holes that are miles and square miles, it seems the jets are right in there right away to seal it up, as if they don't want the sunlight to the ground. What do you think your take is on the chemtrail agenda, mainly? Because I know there's different applications of reasoning why they're doing this.
Well, I've always said that I think there's a Pulitzer Prize waiting a journalist who does an serious in-depth investigation rather than the usual treatment we're getting from the mainstream media, which is, just snide sort of laughter is basically the response you get from the mainstream media. I think someone needs to look into it. I remember a gathering of scientists in San Diego several years ago, and this made the news. They were talking about at some point in the future, we may have to consider a geoengineering program. And their rationale was that by pumping tons and tons and tons of aluminum oxide particulates into the atmosphere, they might be able to forestall global warming. And I've always been of the mind that if someone says we're thinking about doing it, that usually means they've been doing it. And this is sort of their way of letting us know. So I personally have no doubt that there are programs going on where there's aerosolized programs. They are spraying something. Is it aluminum? Is it barium? Is it strontium? I don't know. But I think at least the anecdotal evidence is overwhelming. What is the purpose? Well, we have of course that defense white paper that came out a number of years ago called "Owning the Weather by 2025." So I think they're way ahead of schedule. I think they can control the weather. I don't know that we can control climate, because if I said so, that would be sort of, if I believed that we could control climate, then I would basically be arguing in favor of anthropogenic global warming, which I don't agree with. I think that is the height of hubris to think that man can control climate. We can control weather. We've known that since the Vietnam War, where we were seeding clouds and making it rain, which was done to prevent Ho Chi Minh from moving armaments along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. They made it rain so that it would be a big muddy mess. So we know we can control weather. We know we can seed clouds. Is it being used for some sort of sinister plot, depopulation, or to make us chronically ill? Perhaps. I don't have the evidence in my hand right now. I don't have the documentation. I don't have a smoking gun, but I think something is going on in that regard. And I would like to see or hear more whistleblowers come forward before I can make an absolute determination. What do you think is going on, Paul? Did we lose Paul? I think so. All right. Thank you for the call. Let's say hi to Michael. Michael is next. We'll squeeze him in before the top of the hour. Michael, where are you calling from? Las Vegas, I see.
Yes, sir. How you doing today, Richard?
I'm terrific, thank you. How are you listening to us? On the YouTube stream, or how are you listening?
I listen to you through Zoomer on the internet.
Excellent.
Most times, sometimes through YouTube, but a lot of times you don't have it all working, so I usually go to Zoomer.
Zoomerradio.ca. Terrific.
Correct. And which I find is a fantastic station also. I listen to it at other times as well.
Isn't it something? Nothing like it anywhere.
I hope that's okay with you.
You hope what's okay with me?
That I listen to other programs.
Oh, well, I suppose I'll let it slide this time.
Richard, I want to say, first of all, you're very articulate. I really enjoy your show. I don't always agree with you, but 9 times out of 10, I probably do. It's just, you're a different kind of guy. That's all I want to say.
Where's the 1 time out of 10 you disagree with me, Michael?
Well, I can't remember right now, but let's move forward for a second.
Okay.
I
You
know,
got to be quick here.
You share a lot about your personal life as well, which is kind of enjoyable. So I happen to, right? You're Greek Orthodox, correct?
I'm married into the Greek Orthodox faith. My wife is of Greek heritage, and my children are half Greek.
Okay. So I assume you got married in the Greek Orthodox Church.
Indeed, I did. Indeed.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so the bottom line is you're familiar with the faith that I'm familiar with on the other side, the Western Catholic faith. All right. So, but I wanted to talk about, before I get into rock and roll heaven, I wanted to say that when I was calling in, I had a bad phone. I got a new phone now. So we're on a good connection. The last time it would turn out to be the phone, I found out.
Right. Now the problem is we're quickly approaching the top of the hour. So if you could just give me a quick question or a comment.
The rock and roll heaven, okay? I think that's it's really a myth, and it's not really true. So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I believe the pop culture rock and roll heaven states is basically that when a fantastically talented musician goes down, whether it be through drug abuse or overdose or any other way, that they go to rock and roll heaven. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, they're all jamming in one band. I know where you're going with that. I mean, based on the behavior of a lot of pop stars and musicians, the question is, are they really going to heaven? Well, that's not for me to judge, but based on their behavior, and of course, according to our faith, they will be judged. So, but it's not for us. It's not us to judge them. So maybe they are in heaven, maybe they're not. Some are, some aren't. Who knows? I hope a lot of them are, because when I get up there, if I'm lucky, I don't want to just hear harp music all the time. You know what I'm saying? All right, Michael, thank you for the call. When we come back, Dr. Cass Ingram will talk to us about the remarkable healing qualities of certain medicinal plants. Back with more of The Conspiracy Show. Stay with us.
This is Zoomer Radio Toronto. CFZM FM and CFZM AM. Owned and operated by MZ Media Incorporated.
From Toronto, Canada, Earth, The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett on Zoomer Radio.
Well, thanks for inviting me into your home. Long-haul truck, RV, camper, taxi, your parents' basement, your loft, that greasy spoon just off the interstate, and your cabin in the woods. Welcome to hour 2 of this transmission. I am coming to you live from my little studio beneath the stairs. Faz is back in master control at Zoomer Radio AM 740. And Ryan is running our live stream tonight, just audio tonight. Again, we're having some streaming issues with the new webcam, but we will get that fixed. But the live stream, the audio sounds great. You can go to YouTube and search Strange Planet. And while you're there, please subscribe. Also, please check out my podcast, Conspiracy Unlimited. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you can listen and subscribe at conspiracyunlimitedpodcast.com. conspiracyunlimitedpodcast.com. And we recently achieved 2 million unique downloads since we launched, and it just keeps growing every month. conspiracyunlimitedpodcast.com. All right, move over THC and CBD. Say hello to BCP. It's called the new super cannabinoid, and researchers say a recently identified chemical compound called BCP, found in cannabis and other aromatic plants, can calm your mind, relieve chronic pain, and produce a host of remarkable pharmacological effects. It's being hailed by natural medicine advocates for its many reported therapeutic properties. Cannabinoid oil, let me see if I can pronounce that, cannabidiol oil has soared in sales to become one of the health food industry's hottest dietary supplements. It's extracted from flowers and buds of marijuana or hemp plants, and CBD has been shown to be an effective non-toxic natural treatment for dozens of health challenges, from anxiety to sleep apnea to epilepsy. And now, researchers at Bonn University in Germany have discovered a powerful new molecule naturally occurring in cannabis and other aromatic herbs. The molecule, scientifically designated beta-caryophyllene, try that again, beta-caryophyllene, or BCP for short, is being hailed as nature's most potent activator of the body's key neurological pathways, and perhaps the most crucial and powerful of all 80-plus known cannabis compounds called cannabinoids. Dr. Cass Ingram is a nutritional physician who received a Bachelor of Science in Biology and Chemistry from the University of Northern Iowa and his D.O. from the University of Osteopathic Medicine and Health Sciences in Des Moines, Iowa. Dr. Cass has since written over 20 books on natural healing. He's given answers and hope to millions through lectures and thousands of radio, TV shows. His research and writing have led to countless cures and discoveries. Dr. Cass Ingram presents thousands, or rather hundreds, of health tips and insights in his many books on health, nutrition, and disease prevention. He's one of North America's leading experts on the health benefits and disease-fighting properties of wild medicinal spice extracts. He's a popular media personality. He's appeared on over 5,000 radio and TV shows, and he now travels the world promoting perfect health the natural way in his new book, The Cannabis Cure, now available. Hey, Cass, welcome back to the Conspiracy Show. How are you?
Friend, long time no talk. Good to hear your wonderful voice and to see how Zoomer and Richard and Cole are doing. I tell you, this is very interesting that you outlined this BCP, this beta-caryophyllene or caryophyllene or whatever you want to call it. I tell you, when I wrote The Cannabis Cure, and doing the research on cannabidiol, some people call it CBD, I found that the terpenes were the neglected element, almost as if there was just like, let me call it maybe some kind of oversight, overlooking. The terpenes we now know are more powerful than CBD or cannabidiol for the neurological system and for any kind of medicinal effect, far more powerful.
What are terpenes?
Well, these are the substances that give you the smell when you smell cannabis. So when you smell hemp or particularly marijuana, that overpowering odor is the terpene.
Ah.
And they're gasoline-like molecules, but they're in plants, so they're safe to consume. If you put an essential oil on top of water, you see a film that's like a rainbow in colors.
Right.
And you see these little tiny, you see these colors, that's terpene. And if you smell lemon, limonene is a terpene, or in lime. If you squeeze a lemon or lime and you see that spray come out,
yes,
those are terpenes.
What about oranges? Is it in oranges as well?
Same thing.
Yeah, we call that essence of orange.
We love our cinnamon in the cinnamon toast and also the cappuccino and such. The flavor is BCP terpene. Cloves. Does anybody bake?
Oh yeah, sure. We use cloves.
Or nutmeg?
Yes, absolutely.
Odor is
so
terpene.
Ah.
Yeah. In fact, why isn't anybody speaking? Everything you love is a BCP terpene, or we can call it a cannabinoid, because the data is BCP.
Okay, you're cutting out, Cass. If I can get you to you're on a cell phone and it's kind of cutting out. So just don't move around too much, and then we can hear you.
If I keep it really quiet, can you hear me better?
That's better. Keep going. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so BCPs, these are the terpines?
So everything you love is a cannabinoid or a BCP, I'll say. So the smell of a carnation is from that molecule.
Ah.
The smell of cinnamon, cloves is there. Chamomile tea is from that. Would you ever cook a pizza without oregano?
No, but I got to say something. You just mentioned chamomile tea. My wife is, her ancestors are from Greece. The last time she was in Greece, she and her friend went out and they picked the chamomile and dried it and brought it home. And I just had a cup the other night. It's the most amazing chamomile tea I've ever had.
It is so true. And that odor is exactly your BCP.
Ah.
So now I'll tell you what it does in a minute, but you would never cook a pizza or spaghetti sauce without oregano.
No.
Because you love the aroma and the robust aromatic flavor. Would you ever make pesto without basil? Basil's rich too. And these are cannabinoids. And then obviously rosemary and sage are also very dense. Now let me ask you a question. Do you use a lot of oregano? Would you put 3 tablespoons of oregano in your pizza sauce, or would you ruin it?
That's a good question, because I'm not in charge of the pizza sauce around here. Well, but we grow oregano here at the house. We dry it and we use a lot of it.
But you're going to only use so much. You overpower everything.
Right.
If you put too much cinnamon, you're not going to put a tablespoon of cinnamon in the cappuccino, my friend.
No, that's true.
So, and you're not going to put 40 sprigs of rosemary on the food. You'll overpower it. Nobody will like it.
Right, and you're saying that that's how much you would need in order to get the benefit of these BCPs?
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Telling you.
So you just can't get it from eating, pizza or pesto or whatever. You need a more condensed form, a concentrated form.
You would, but no, what I'm saying is you can take too much. Because now we're into CBD oil and cannabis now. This is what I'm pointing out. You see, in the 12th century, the Arabic Islamics said, if you want to take a dummy or someone that's dense and you want to turn them into an intellectual powerhouse, a creative person, like a super intelligent, have them nip on a bit of hashish. You see?
Mm.
And they chewed a little nip, or they chewed a little bit of the flower, a little bit of the leaf. They ate it. But now we know that now we move to CBD, because I made this point that black pepper is rich, but you're not going to put 40, you're not going to do the cracker and you're not going to shake. You know what I mean? When you do the fresh black pepper,
right?
You shake and you say, that's enough.
Right.
You have to sit there and have the guy, grind 6 teaspoons. It'd ruin the salad. So what they're doing is now they're making artificial CBD, or they're making CBD oil with 600 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams, 1,000,000 milligrams, whatever, and they're overloading the receptors, and they're shutting down the pain, the ability to treat disease. They're shutting down the system, and it's not working.
In other words, with these synthetic forms of CBD, it's too concentrated, there's too much, and so your body can't handle it. So the receptors just shut it down. They reject it.
Regular CBD in the health food store, when I first took it, when I was writing the book, I got stoned. I didn't want to move. Of course, I don't know what stone's like. I'm sorry. But I thought I was like stoned. So I couldn't do anything. I just sat in the chair for several minutes. So I started to wonder how I'm going to recommend CBD in my book, and I instead opted for the crude extract. So I have been using only the crude extract with tremendous effects. There was a study, an Israeli study by Galilee and Haynes. They did a dramatic thing. They contrasted CBD oil, not just the synthetic, the kind where they're artificially raising the CBD. And it suppressed the receptors, it suppressed the CBD receptors, and they did not get any benefit for pain and inflammation, and they had to take increasingly high doses, wasting money for nothing. But when they gave, listen to this, the crude extract, just like God made it in the nature, okay? It worked beautifully. It suppressed the pain and inflammation, or, it treated it. It treated the, epileptic type problems with no issue. You see?
So this is from the study at Bonn University, what you're citing now. Is that correct?
Bonn did, there's two things I'm talking about now. Bonn was looking at BCP, which I'm going to get to.
Okay.
But I'm talking about people making these claims about high levels of CBD. And that was an Israeli study. You can look it up, Galilee and Hanus, Gallileyhanus. They found that if you just take a whole food hemp, nature, everything that's in nature, you're not altering it. It was effective for pain and inflammation and for suppressing inflammation markers. But when you monkey around with it, when you manipulate it, you use solvents, you use distillation, you artificially raise the CBD, and you don't pay attention to the BCP, I'm going to get to that, then it didn't work. It actually got worse.
Interesting.
Now, the BCP, when you have a natural hemp oil, like hempenol is full spectrum natural whole food. It's got the BCP like crazy, and it's got the CBD. It's all in there, right?
Well, Cass, years ago, 100 years ago, doctors used to carry a little vial of hemp oil in their black bag, right?
They did, but it was full spectrum, just like I'm talking about.
Ah, right.
They actually used the marijuana plant, and they made a crude extract, and it worked fine. You see? They didn't try to artificially raise one part or the other. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yes.
So now, but BCP, my friend, is a very aggressive cannabinoid, not just the cannabidiol. This one, this BCP, they neglect that in the hemp oil industry. They neglect that in the CBD industry. But it's more powerful than any other substance in cannabis. More powerful than THC. You see what I'm saying?
And THC is the compound that makes you high, right?
That's the addictive, hallucinogenic, habituating compound that also gives you the munchies and, yes, and kind of you delirious type things. But mainly it's the hallucinogenic one.
Right. Right.
And that's activating CB1. I know this for a fact because clinically I have been using hemp crude extract on patients, and I can give you testimonial or whatever. But I'm telling you now, the industry is crazy. There were 170 different people in the booth. I'm in Anaheim. I can't find a hotel, so many people. So they did 170 different booths at the show selling CBD oil. And none of them know what they're doing. You see? They're all using solvent extracted material that destroys the terpene, destroys the BCP, or distillation. Now, I mentioned to you that everything you love is a cannabinoid. Rosemary, black pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, rosemary, oregano, sage, chamomile. And you don't need a lot of it.
So
the more of it you add to the diet.
Okay, so now we're getting into the BCPs here, right?
Because you're getting the BCP.
Okay, so talk to me about this study at Bonn University. When was it, and exactly what were the findings?
Well, one of the biggest findings in all the data is that this is a neuroregenerative compound. Okay, so you take all kinds of compounds and you do a study, for example, on the nematode. That would be the C. elegans worm. And nothing seems to make the worm live longer. It's a model for longevity. You add BCP, and the worm lives 20, 30% longer. Then the researchers conclude that this is hard proof that if we were to take BCP or beta-carotene rich food or supplements, we could extend lifespan. And there is very little, my friend, in all the natural kingdom or synthetic that can possibly make this nematode live longer. Only BCP is consistently doing it. And other research showing that not only is it neuroregenerative for damaged neurons, but it causes the body to make the untenable, which is new neurons.
It creates new neurons, new brain cells.
New brain cells. It's stimulating the stem cells to make brand new brain cells.
Now that's revolutionary, because we've always been told once you lose a brain cell, that's it. It's done.
This is what they've been telling us. So you think about case history. There was a guy with a stroke of feeder in a nursing home. I gave him something called hempenol brain detox. So it has the hemp resin infused in wild crowberry and wild blackberry from Canada. They're harvesting it in the bush, pressing it, and providing it to the maker. Then they infuse the hemp. Well, in Russia, they use crowberry for seizures and epilepsy and brain damage, and they make a drug from that berry. But that's irrelevant, because we're kind of focusing on BCP. So the guy's a feeder. He's home now. He got out of the nursing home. He went home. There's nothing wrong with him. I'm telling you flat out. I had another guy who couldn't walk a straight line, and I was sitting with him, and I said, "What's the issue with all your alcohol? You're ruining your brain." He said, "Well, it's my first wife." I said, "You're sitting here with your second wife. Well, it's her too." I said, "Mister, cut it out. Cut the booze." And then he said, "Well, but one of the reasons I can't walk straight and I'm neurologically compromised is because I worked at a steel mill for 20 years. You see? So he's full of heavy metal. So I give him the BCP. I give him this hempenol super strength, which has the terpenes plus all the rest of it, CBD, whatever you want to call it. And I give him this brain detox. His doctors called me and said, "What'd you do with this guy? He's normal now." They thought he was finished because he damaged his vestibular apparatus in his brain. So I think from the cases I'm seeing, I have hardcore proof that in humans, not just in a mouse or a nematode, we're getting neuroregeneration. See?
Did Bonn University conclude that as well? Neuroregeneration?
on BCP. Yeah. But there, if you look up BCP neuroregeneration while we're talking, and if you look up BCP C. elegans, the nematode, you'll find that data. So the investigators at Bonn and elsewhere are intrigued because, first of all, it's anti-inflammatory. I think some of the data you have, there's no question about that. It's a pain-reducing substance. Like any other cannabinoid, it puts the endocannabinoid system, which endo means internal. We have our own ability to receive cannabis in our brain and in our spinal cord, in our white cells, in our heart, in our lungs.
That's fascinating. We're coming up on a break here, Cass, but I want to come back and talk about this. The idea that we have receptors. We were made to receive cannabinoids. It sounds like what you're saying. We'll pick up on that point on the other side. Dr. Cass Ingram is here to talk about a new super cannabinoid. It's called BCP. And we'll also open up the phone lines, questions and comments. Perhaps we can also talk about the health effects of other medicinal plants when we come back. The Conspiracy Show. My name is Richard Syrett. Stay with us.
When in doubt, blame the government. You're listening to The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio.
The Thompsons want to live closer to their family in Vancouver, but selling, buying, and moving to a new province can be a lot to handle. With one phone call, Relocation Services Group took the guesswork and stress out of relocating with no added fees or costs. Plus, CARP members get cash back when they sell and again when they buy a home. Relocation Services Group, local or long distance, the CARP-approved relocation experts. Learn more at relocationservicesgroup.com.
When last we left our consignment heroes.
They have a gold medal from the Olympics. That's going to have some special value. Can you sell that, though? Is that
Yeah, they used to say you couldn't. But if you're in Bulgaria and you win the hammer throw and you're going to get $4,000 for your medal, you're selling that sucker because that's as much money as you're going to make in the next 20 years.
Lucky so-and-so, said the Bulgarian who won bronze. Describe your vintage stuff to us on the next Consignment Heroes, Sunday at 11 on Zoomer Radio.
Thinking of downsizing or selling a large collection of anything? Talk to Paul and Bogart, the experts at Toronto Gold, Silver, and Coins. Call 905-737-GOLD or visit TorontoGoldSilver.com. CARP works hard to support the needs of Canadians as they age. But did you know your CARP card works just as hard to save you money? Like 20% every day at Rexall and Rexall Pharma Plus on thousands of regular priced Rexall private brand items. Simply show your current CARP membership card at checkout and save. Ask a Rexall associate for details or visit carp.ca/save@Rexall. Save today and every day with CARP.
Your kitchen. It's your coffee shop, your family diner, your romantic bistro, and your wine bar. At Tasco Appliances, we understand the many roles your kitchen plays and the contribution that each appliance makes to it. Do your kitchen a favor and don't make an investment until you talk to a knowledgeable Tasco Pro. Right now, get a free Monogram dishwasher when you buy 3 qualifying Monogram appliances. For details, visit tascoappliance.ca.
This is no place for the naive or the faint-hearted. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Dr. Cass Ingram is with us for the full hour. We will open the phone lines as well. Questions and comments. Dr. Cass, an expert on the health benefits of certain medicinal plants, has been on with us many, many times. Of course, extolling the virtues of wild oregano oil extract. And today we're talking about cannabinoids, a super cannabinoid. A recent study at the University of Bonn in Germany about the anti-inflammatory and neurological benefits of something called BCP. This is a recently discovered chemical compound, BCP, but it's not only found in the hemp plant, as Cass has explained. It is found in many of the foods, spices, and plants that we love. If you love cinnamon, it's there. If you love the smell of a chrysanthemum, it's there. It's in sage. It's in rosemary. It's in oregano. It's in cinnamon. It's in orange and lime and lemon. It just seems to be everywhere. Now, Cass, before the break, you were talking about receptors, and there is the CB1 receptor and the CB2 receptors. To me, this is fascinating that we have receptors that are in our body that are designed to receive cannabinoids. Is that correct? Am I hearing you correctly? Okay, I don't think we have Cass. Oh, there he is.
Hello?
Hey, Cass, we tried to fix your phone. Okay, so talk to me about the CB1 and the CB2 receptors. This is something in our body that is designed to receive cannabinoids.
Absolutely. The CB1 receives the THC, or the decarboxylated, the hallucinogenic material, but it's there for some kind of a reason, because even industrial hemp has a small amount of THC. It's just that the marijuana today has been made way high in that, so people get hit pretty hard. Now, then you have CB2, and that receives the BCP, the caryophyllene. It receives the limonene, the pinene. It receives the cannabidiol. And that CB2 receptor, it also receives your naturally occurring cannabinoids that your body is synthesizing. And the fun part there also is that CB2 is not just in the brain. It's in the white blood cells, the red cells, the liver, the lungs, the chest, the bone, and the bone marrow. So that's pretty fascinating, really.
It is. And the fact is that the CB2 receptor, you're saying, you don't get that psychoactive effect. You don't, because people, they want the health benefits, but they don't want to get high. Not everyone, obviously.
You can't get high on CB2.
Right.
If you overload the system, you can get this little sort of sluggishness or what have you, like I experienced. But there's no way you can't get addicted. It's impossible. And even if you smoked industrial hemp, a joint would have to be the size of 2 telephone poles or something. You're not going to get it, okay?
Right. So this leads to the question then, Cass. I mean, we didn't talk, I didn't bring you on to talk about, legalization versus non-legalization. But, I'm certainly in favor of, medicinal use, but I have grave reservations about, legalizing recreational use just to smoke it to get high because, I don't think we have long-term studies. It could be a gateway drug. And more importantly, we don't know everything we need to know about the effect of THC on young developing brains.
Well, that's a big issue, actually. You can't be having your 12-year-old smoking pot.
No.
What's more, you're rolling it with tobacco half the time.
Yes.
And it's bad enough that we have tobacco and alcohol epidemics, let alone the harder drugs. So there's no regulation on this legalization. There's no education. We don't have a school education system to say, okay, it's legal, but we don't recommend that developing youth smoke anything. let alone a hallucinogenic drug.
Right. Well, that was the rationale for legalizing it up here, and so that the government could somewhat regulate it. But I just think it's folly. However, what you're saying though, if we can get the health benefits from cannabinoids without the THC, but more importantly, we don't even need to get it from the hemp plant.
No, we don't need to get it. Exactly. We can get it from now. Wait a minute. There are a few things that the that hemp might do that cinnamon and clove and oregano may not. And I've outlined that in my book, The Cannabis Cure. It does have certain diseases that it's effective for. So we might want some of that industrial hemp as a supplement, the crude extract, like the hempanol, for instance, to speed things up. But you're right. I mean, if we ate more basil, lots of oregano, rosemary, cinnamon, cloves, we would be getting, chamomile tea. We would be getting a cannabinoid effect, a positive one. And why do we even eat that stuff? Why do we love that black pepper? It's you don't know it, but it's making you feel better. It's
because we're wired to receive it. We evolved to consume it.
We are totally wired to receive it. And you know how good the oregano is, the oil of oregano that we use.
Absolutely.
E73, my God, that's a hammer for chronic illness and for activating the brain and for seizures, for tremors. And I must say, and for Parkinson's and MS, I've been using it for decades for these types of things. Stroke victims, the Greeks, migraines, I've been using it. The Greeks used oregano for migraines and for neurological damage, the ancients. But they also used cannabis for that. The Greeks used oregano for seizures, but they also used cannabis. You see?
So the BCP is an anti-inflammatory. So arthritis, what disease isn't caused by inflammation?
Well, the inflammation doesn't cause anything. It's a consequence. So you have infections. Let's say you have, a lot of people have knee pain and they have ankle pain and hand pain, and they come to me, doctor, I have this arthritis, or I have this pain in my knee and my ankles, I have this inflammation, I'm taking turmeric. I say, that's all and good. But you don't have knee pain, you have fungus. You see? See how the cause is? I look at their tongue, I look at their skin, I say, you got the candida, you got the fungus. And the fungus is causing your ankle pain and knee pain and hand pain. So what do? I give them oil. I give them BCP. Sure, they want to have their turmeric. Yeah, I'll give them, oregano oil. But I give them the oregano oil to kill the fungus. Or if they have parasites, and the parasites are causing arthritis, I want to kill the parasite.
That's the culprit. I see. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier, I just read that where Tom Seaver, the great New York Mets pitcher, has dementia at 74. And lo and behold, I don't know if you heard this, Cass, lo and behold, what did they find back in 1991? Tom Seaver got Lyme disease when he was living in Connecticut.
Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind is he got bit by a tick. So here he's going to have, they're going to say we should give some turmeric. We should give some anti-inflammatory. We should kill the tick. We kill the spirochete. And that spirochete is eating his brain.
It reoccurred apparently in 2012. If you've had chronic Lyme disease for all those years, isn't it too late?
No, it's not necessarily too late. If you remember the guy that was in the nursing home, how do we know he didn't have Lyme? He's toast. He's back home now. The other guy, the golfer, he's always in the woods. He could have some Lyme. Maybe that's why the BCP-rich hempanol and the hempanol super strength and the oregano that I gave him, the juice of oregano, the brain detox, that was his protocol. He went, he got rid of the whole problem in a month. So our dementia case is infectious dementia. So he would benefit from the neuroregeneration, but he also needs the oil of oregano, the juice of oregano, that kind of a thing to get him back on his feet if we can do it. you know.
Right. And you're saying, again, BCP, it's suggested by studies that BCP can regenerate neurons in the brain.
This is the fact in my experience as a doctor. When I give anything, now here's the secret though. Raw BCP is superior to cooked. So when we used to give the oil of a wild oregano and the juice of oregano to the stroke victims, to the Lyme victims, to the dementia victims, we would get a measured result. But if we give the raw type, where you extract the BCP terpene with no heat, then we're 10, 20 times more aggressive. And I'll explain why. And that, just so people know, there are products, like it would be hempenol super strength with the oregano, raw oregano. It would be, I mentioned the brain detox. That kind of be the hempenol CF super strength. I just want to get that on the table for folks. But here's what we know.
Just hold on to it, Cass. You tell us what you know on the other side. We'll take a quick time out. We'll come back. We're talking cannabinoids with Dr. Cass Ingram here on The Conspiracy Show. My name is Richard Syrett. Stay with us.
Different views make great conversation. This is The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett on Zoomer Radio. To speak with Richard live, call 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
I'm Marilyn Weston, and I give it to you straight from a woman's perspective here on Zoomer Radio every Saturday morning at 8. This Saturday, my team will share their knowledge and passions and happy stories so you can learn what works best for you and make informed decisions and take action with no regrets. So plan to tune in and join me, Marilyn Weston, and my team and get it straight from a woman's perspective this Saturday morning at 8 exclusively here on Zoomer Radio.
Best way to take in a game at Fenway? The architecture in Chicago, history of Quebec City, or the excitement of Foxwoods Casino? That's easy. Leave the driving to Great Canadian Holidays. A big blue motor coach is the fun and worry-free way to uncover Nashville, see the best of Newfoundland, or birdwatch the Blue Jays in Boston and New York. Sit back and relax on Great Canadian Holidays' new spring and summer getaways. Book now at greatcanadianholidays.com.
Another reno story from Royal Home Improvements. We're taking back the basement, and that's final.
But Mom!
No buts. I've been waiting 30 years for a home office.
And a wine cellar. Apologize to your mother.
Sorry.
We're doing this for us because you don't live here anymore.
Your father's right. Now go home and let us build our guest suite.
We're planning our own sleepover.
Your basement can be whatever you want it to be, and Royal Home Improvements can help you transform it. More than just bathrooms, more than just kitchens. Royal Home Improvements is your we-handle-everything renovator. Why hire different companies for different jobs? Use Royal Home Improvements to renovate every room for consistency and style. And for seniors, you never pay tax.
I'm Paul Napolitano of Royal Home Improvements. It's our 50th anniversary. Contact us for a free estimate, and you'll get our 50 years of renovation experience.
Call today, 416-236-4400, or visit royalhomeimprovements.ca.
Afraid of the dark. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To talk to Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free 1-866-740-4740.
And we are back with Dr. Cass Ingram, and his new book is The Cannabis Cure. And we are talking about some of the health benefits of cannabinoids. And we tend to focus on THC, and we focus on CBDs, and we talk about the medicinal benefits of marijuana, but we've overlooked BCP. And a recent study at Bonn University is finding many health benefits of this chemical compound that is not only found in hemp, but found in a host of other aromatic plants. And we were talking before the break, Cass, about that while we don't need hemp necessarily, there are certain things found in hemp that aren't found in other aromatic plants.
Well, this is right. You see, hemp oil resin, or crude extract, I call it, has up to 85 cannabinoids. There's no other plant, let's face it, that has that many. And then it's got, 10, 15, 20 terpenes. So what the terpenes of hemp are common with cinnamon, with clove, with rosemary, with oregano, with black pepper, and more. But the cannabinoids, you don't find those in the cinnamon. Not like that. You find the BCP, but you don't find that other 80 group. That 80 group. Now, but first of all, here's the secret. If you cook it, you lose it. And this is with hemp especially. You want the results, you want big results, it's got to be raw. So, case history. First of all, look at the science. The science using CBD isolate or CBD fortified for epilepsy shows 10% remission. Not bad, because epilepsy, nobody goes in remission. They keep on the Dilantin and the drugs forever. These are children.
Right.
When we gave the crude extract to a child, 7 years, he's been with seizures for 6 years, in 72 hours, gone. Permanently gone. Seizures every day, gone. Because that's raw. When you cook those cannabinoids, when you decarboxylate them, when you cook them in the marijuana, when you smoke it, that's when it goes crazy and makes the hallucinogenic. Then you destroy those terpenes, you destroy those cannabinoids, you destroy the molecule, you change it, and it's not. The body can receive those cannabinoids lock and key only if they're in a raw state. I mean, perfectly. You'll get some benefit from the cooked, but not as much.
This is fascinating because, there are, in the United States in particular, where they have not legalized marijuana in every state, even medicinal marijuana. And so it's heartbreaking. These parents desperate to try and find something for their children who have epilepsy. And so they'll move to a state where medicinal marijuana is legal or recreational. But that's not necessary, you're saying, if they use the BCPs.
First of all, you're getting marijuana extracts, and they're using hexane and butane gas. You want to give that to your kid? And they're using isopropyl alcohol acetone's fingernail polish. What are we doing here?
Oh, dear.
And then they're triple distilling it. This is the CBD movement. They don't know what they're doing. So I have the Cannabis Cure, and I just wrote the Hemp Oil Miracle. It's coming out in maybe a month and a half. And so the Hemp Oil Miracle talks all about this crude hemp resin from 10,000 years to date. Why do we have to change everything? If the Scythians did it one way, and the caveman did it another, and the Greeks did it one way, and the Romans did it this way, and the Islamics did it that way, and the Hindus did it, they all did the same thing. Okay? Why do we have to change that?
Right.
They worship the plant,
We were talking about BCP for inflammation. What about, one of the things that people who smoke recreationally insist also that it's also medicinal because it helps them deal with anxiety.
Yeah.
What about BCPs and anxiety?
Well, can you think of anything more calming than cinnamon and hot milk? Come on. BCP is the substance in cannabis that makes you nice and sedated and calm and relaxed, people. So yes, you're right. The Bonn research on inflammation, we know it's good for that. But look at the other uses. anxiety neurosis, irritability stress, obsessive compulsive. And then look at the neurological diseases at large. Depression too, by the way. You're talking MS, you're talking Parkinson's, you're talking seizures, you're talking epilepsy, you're talking autism, the hardcore stuff, Tourette syndrome, BCP. You see how that opens us up? It's not going to be just hemp extract, which I hope the hempanol is more and more available in Canada. I don't even know if it's legal there, but surely you can get that in the United States. You can check your Canadian store and see what they're doing, but think about what we opened up. The mothers with autism, they can start giving cinnamon too, right? Instead of just relying on, is it going to be legal? Are they going to allow it? All our legislators, what are we going to do? Do that, but take the cinnamon, add more clove, right? More oregano, more rosemary, more sage.
It can't wait. It can't wait, as a wise man once said. All right, listen, we'll take another time out, come back. We'll also take some calls for Dr. Cass Ingram as we continue to talk about BCP, the super cannabinoid, right here on The Conspiracy Show. Stay with us.
You want the truth? You can handle the truth. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To get the truth, call Richard now at 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
5,000 years of Chinese music and dance in one night, declares the New York Times. Shen Yun Performing Arts will take you on an extraordinary journey from ancient dynasties to the modern day. Experience Shen Yun. Coming to Four Seasons Center and First Ontario Concert Hall, March 23rd through 31st. Buy tickets now at shenyun.com or call 855-416-1800.
Previously on Dave's Corner Garage.
What do you call it again? Negative equity. That's the technical term. That's the polite way to explain it. Owe more for your car than what it's worth. Yeah, I call it the F factor. Holy frig.
Yes, you see good manners wherever there are people who respect each other and want to get along with others.
On the next Dave's Corner Garage, Trevor Hutchison of Crown extols the virtues of North America's #1 rust protection. Saturday morning at 10 on Zoomer Radio and online at davescornergarage.com.
I see you in my crystal ball, searching for a new home. Yeah. You don't know if you'll search for days or months. How did you? I now see a 130-day mortgage rate guarantee from BMO, the longest of any major bank, so you can take your time house hunting.
Is this still my fortune?
Nah, it's just good advice, but it's more impressive in my spooky voice.
Ooh. When a bank gives you mortgage peace of mind, that's the BMO effect. Visit BMO.com. Plus, get up to $2,000 in a cash bonus with your new mortgage. Terms and conditions apply. Longest rate guarantee of any major bank as of March 1st.
It's March, and that means we're in the dog days of winter. But don't worry, eBay has everything you need to ride out everyone's favorite season in style. Like a new 4K TV to cozy up to on those extra cold days. Or a new defroster to make your vintage car less icy. Or a flashy watch to make your wrist more icy. Whatever you need, eBay can make it happen with millions of items shipped for free and a money-back guarantee on virtually all items sold. It's everything you're looking for, and it's all happening on eBay.
The truth is not out there. It's right here. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio.
Dr. Cass Ingram stays with us, author of The Cannabis Cure. Now, we want to be very careful. You mentioned Israel because they've been doing a lot of studies on cannabinoids, and there are some people who, I want to be careful about how I say this, who believe that cannabinoids have helped with cancer.
Yes. Okay.
And I don't want to give false hope, and
right.
There's the studies I think I don't necessarily know that there's anything definitive out there. I want to be careful.
Well,
But
here's the deal. Okay, so they don't allow any studies in the States, but the NCI is funding Israeli studies. So yes, they have demonstrated some anti-tumor properties, which is common. It's called apoptosis, where you take the hemp. Obviously, the full spectrum. You don't want to be taking hexane residues, right? That's a carcinogen. So the full spectrum hemp, some studies over the years have shown it causes the cell to program itself for its own death, right? Hey, you know what? Berries do that. Turmeric does it. Oregano does it. This is no surprise. So in the book, we do talk about the brain cancer. I would definitely add the cannabinoid proper quality product to the rest of your, your treatment protocol. No problem with that. But I think the bigger uses for the cannabis or hemp extract are neurological diseases, the anxiety, like you said, the stress, wiped out, not relaxed, can't get calm, insomnia. There's also this hempenol PM with the hops. Hops is in the same family as chamomile. In the same family as cannabis. The two together knock you into REM sleep. What do you think? I've written 30 books. I'm an insomniac. I use the stuff to knock me out. Come on. And then the MS and Parkinson's seizures we said, but also addictions. This is not well known. Quality hemp extract is effective for marijuana addiction, alcohol.
Isn't that ironic?
Tobacco.
Using the hemp plant to get you off of marijuana.
Exactly. But only the CB2 activating industrial hemp. And that, maybe marijuana would do it too if you extracted the resin. And that, also heroin and cocaine. Now, here's the deal. People are taking heroin, cocaine, marijuana because it gives them something. Nobody's just taking it just, because I'm going to destroy myself or I'm going to just mad at the world. They get something, alcohol too. When you start taking this industrial hemp, you start feeling good. You feel too good. You don't want the other stuff. You lose your desire. I mean, I have helped people with even SSRI drugs. You know how hard they are. Case history, the guy with the Zoloft, he's got 2 PhDs. He can't get a job. He's been on Zoloft for 20 years. He messed himself up. He's a friend. I yank him in. I say, get off the stupid stuff. Come on, get off. Well, I can't. I know you can't right away. We know that. You have to gradually. So I gave him the Hempenol Super Strength, the one with the oregano, and the Hempenol CF with this calm and focus without. I gave him both bottles. I just gave them to him. I said, take the stuff under the tongue. He got off the drug, man. 20 years he was hooked on the stuff. Then he went, he got a job. He's driving an Uber. But
it's a start. Nothing, right? It's a start. Absolutely. It's a good start.
So that's kind of how it works, people. You got big 5 categories: neurological, addictions, stress, and stress syndrome, anxiety, neurosis, your cancer support, and your inflammation support, of course, is pretty big, but it's more powerful. Here's an interesting caveat. Okay, so hemp works on the endocannabinoid system. Turmeric works on the COX-2. Oregano works on the opiate. Can you imagine if you could combine all that stuff?
Right. It seems like we have put all our eggs in the medical marijuana basket without thinking this thing through.
We hadn't thought it through at all. And then everybody going to the legislature, we got to have. We're completely blindsided. We already have it, like you said. Why wait? Right under our nose, and it's all the cannabinoid-rich spices, with the caveat that hemp oil or marijuana oil, if that's what you choose, I'd rather have the hemp oil, has these 80 to 100 cannabinoids that you just don't find anywhere else. So I'm going to tell you hardcore. If I had a patient with seizures and epilepsy, autism, I'm going to give them hemp oil extract, not just cinnamon. If I have somebody that's addicted to alcohol, tobacco, chewing tobacco, marijuana, heroin, and cocaine, I'm going to give it to them, but I'm going to give them the one with the oregano, for that. If I have somebody with inflammation, I would give turmeric first. You see how it works? Each condition, different indications. What if they have plantar fasciitis? They smoke marijuana for that. It is effective. What if you have glaucoma? We know for sure marijuana is effective for glaucoma. It doesn't last, but if you take it as the drops or the capsules, then it works. It gets rid of the glaucoma. So it's not good for everything, right?
Right. Now, people who are undergoing cancer treatment, chemotherapy, and so forth, they lose their appetite. And some
that's a big use for this, right? There are drugs, Marinol, for that purpose. So yes, you would give it for that, because the myrcene, you see, and the beta-caryophyllene, they're appetite stimulants. Don't you think so? From cinnamon and from black pepper and from rosemary, oregano, those are appetite stimulants as well.
Yeah. So in other words, you don't need to smoke a joint to get the munchies.
That's
You
what
want
I'm
to
saying.
you want to stimulate your appetite. You're saying you can take these spice extracts, cinnamon and so forth.
Take the cinnamon. And if you want, you can get a high quality hemp resin and take. And now, I've done the studies. I found this is crazy stuff. North American Herb and Spice, a good company. We take their oregano oil. They bought a huge, $250,000, whatever, of hemp oil from Europe. Raw, supercritical, totally unheated. You know what the Europeans told them? We're not selling it to you anymore. They gave them $250,000. We're not selling it to you because we make more money by decarboxylating, by heating, by solvent extracting. So we're not going to let you have it. You see?
Ah.
That's how crazy it is out there. It's
well,
like
hemp has now been legalized in the United States, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. Canada could be making billions by growing the hemp, and companies like North American would buy the resin. What's Trudeau? What are they doing? They should legally be making that resin with a supercritical machine and shipping it to the companies. Let them make a high quality raw product. Let 100 companies make it. Right now, the only one is the hempanol. I mean, they're great because they're smart enough to just do raw extract. I won't let them do anything else. You know me. But
yeah, I'm not sure that hemp is illegal to cultivate in Canada now. The industrial hemp and so forth. I'm not sure about that.
They are cultivating it, but here's the craziest thing: you cultivate it, but you can't put a CO2 machine, extract the resin, and ship it to me. What does that sense?
Right,
it's in the plant already. You're growing it. Why don't you want to make money, Canada?
Cass, how do we get a copy of the Cannabis Cure?
The Cannabis Cure, all I know. I'm not Amazon. I'm CassIngram.com. Support the little guy. We'll ship it from Toronto. CassIngram.com. If you want to view good quality product with hemp and get the real stuff, go to AmericanWildFoods.com. AmericanWildFoods.com, CassIngram.com. And give them a call. Hey, give me some literature. Send me some stuff. 1-800-243-5242. Call them up at 800-243-5242 and ask them about hemp and brain detox. Ask them about spice extracts. But people, you don't have to be sick. Hemp is one of the tools, but so are the other 10 super rich BCP spices. Okay.
All right, Cass. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you. Talk again. Cass Ingram. Did he just hang up? All right. Thanks, Faz. Thanks, Ryan and Albert. Back next week with a brand new program. In the meantime, don't be afraid. There's nothing concealed that won't be revealed and nothing hidden that won't be made known. What you hear in the dark, speak in the light. What I say in a whisper. Proclaim from the housetops. Move over, Aphrodite. I'm coming home. Or at least up the stairs. Good night.